A few days ago, Nikita Buyanov, the lead developer of Escape from Tarkov, met with several Russian-speaking streamers to discuss some things and have a Q&A about the game. Today, BSG posted a transcript from the podcast in English, so I figured that you guys would want to hear it. First question got a response from Nikita about what they were focusing on currently, and he said it was Lightkeeper, Streets, the story quests, and of course, Arena. Arena is its own team, so that's why he said of course there, because that separate team does nothing but Arena. The story quests won't be seen until full release because they want us to all experience them together for the first time. They don't want there to be guides for the release. Streets Part 1 is apparently still on track for a release this year, while Arena might see testing this year. We'll see if it gets more. In a later question, he added a bit more about the work in progress, specifically mentioning more optimizations, sound overhaul because of the removal of Steam Audio, and the actual move to Unity 2020. So yeah, there's a lot of soon TM here. On the subject of Steam Audio specifically, Nikita later said that Steam Audio will be replaced. The main reason for leaving Steam Audio is the lack of involvement of the authors of the technology, so the devs for Steam Audio, I guess, weren't helping BSG. He later said that we haven't received any potential solutions to our ideas for them, so we'll be moving away from this solution in the near future. These solutions should address any issues of hearing things that we shouldn't through floors and walls. So it sounds like BSG were having some issues with Steam Audio, or they couldn't figure out how to squeeze it into the game. In the past, they've talked about it being too CPU intensive, and it sounds like the Steam devs didn't want to help with that, so that's why we're losing it. There was a question about sounds of guns dropping, and Nikita said they'll expand them in the future. They've apparently recorded lots of sounds on different surfaces, and yeah, that is the literal sound of when you drop a gun onto the ground. In another question, Nikita talked about the random buffs to objects when you use repair kits on them, which is going to be coming in a later patch. We saw footage of this in the last Tarkov TV. Nikita said people were worried about it breaking the game, and he said not to worry because apparently the good buffs are super rare. When talking about offline co-op specifically, Nikita confirmed again that a free cam will be coming, as well as other tools for film making and spectating. He said the quote-unquote practice mode will definitely evolve. When discussing Arena, Nikita said they want to add all the game modes from various popular FPS games, but first they're focusing on special unique modes like the wave defense against scavs and bosses, duels between PMCs, and even allowing people to connect to Arena as a scav. If I had to guess, they would be the spectators, since that's who we see sharing in the trailer, but we'll see if they end up getting some game time too as scavs. Nikita talked a lot about the unconscious state, and I'll read this one out. His response to the first question was, knockouts are a state of your character characterized by dizziness, partial or complete loss of orientation, and sometimes consciousness. We want everything to work interactively along with your surroundings. For example, you can slip on a ladder or get knocked off a door if someone else kicks it in. In this case, after such a fall, the player will be able to stand up. Loss of consciousness is a more serious injury. This is where outside help is needed. It's all very situational. I recently did a video on the unconscious state that covers all we know about it right now. I'll link it below if you want to know more. He talks more in a later answer, saying for now, improvements are still needed. For example, while on your back, if you haven't lost consciousness, you will be able to shoot back. Can't promise that we'll add this mechanic in the first iteration though, but it is in the plans. So what he means by that is if you get knocked down but you're not unconscious, you can shoot back quickly. Continuing that quote, visual post effects and concussion of course will be there. So when you do get knocked down, like if that door hits you or if you fall off a ladder, it's going to be messing with your visuals a little bit when you're actually on the ground. The approach will be extremely realistic. We don't like the casual implementation of such mechanics, so don't expect any defibrillators. We strive for realism. This is actually news to me because in the past, that's what I'm pretty sure was planned to be a thing, where you need a defibrillator to bring back certain types of downed players. Maybe what he means here is the battlefield sense of recovery, where no matter what, just shocking them with defibrillators, bring them back. If not, I imagine stims will play a big role here, like epinephrine and adrenaline, aka the realistic way of bringing people back up after stabilizing them from their injuries. The idea of stims being important actually comes up later when asked if pre-injecting some before a fight will help you to not go down or unconscious. Nikita says theoretically, yes, it will help, but won't save you from real bad injuries that cause you to lose consciousness. Some injuries that cause blood loss or significant pain can be delayed by stims, but not for the serious stuff. Nikita actually brings up addiction later, saying, let me remind you that such medicines will have their own penalties. With regular use, there will be a decrease in efficiency, increasing addiction, and so on. If this is news to you, yeah, addiction is going to be a thing in the future. If you keep popping painkillers like it's candy, it's going to have an effect. Going back to Nikita here, this aspect will be improved. You can't just inject all available types of stimulants into a character and rush into the battle without consequences. Such experiments, on the contrary, can lead to a deterioration in the condition or death of the character, since some of the medications are simply contradicted for each other and cannot work together. Overall, the system will have a fairly realistic medical model. At the current stage, everything is rather simplified. We haven't heard about addiction lately, but it sounds like that will still play a very big part in the future of the game, as well as the unconscious state. Someone later asked if AI can be knocked out, Nikita said yes, everyone will be able to lose consciousness and get knocked down, including the AI, no exceptions. So remember to double tap when this comes around. There was a question about trying to balance the game differently for newer players and between players who can't play as often as those who play constantly. Nikita responded with a very lengthy answer, and it seems they added a bit to it as well after the fact. So the TLDR here is no, they don't plan to make this a thing. It won't matter if it's your first raid or your 10,000th, you'll share the exact same experience on a lobby and world perspective, meaning you will be playing the same game. It seems like there were a lot of questions about this, and it seems like it was a long conversation, so I'm trying to condense this as much as possible. One of those questions was a bit funny. I think one of the answers to one of these questions does a good job of just covering this whole topic, with the question being, so what do you do if you're playing alone? Who will help you? Where Nikita replies, nobody will. You will need to understand that you are on your own if playing solo. We don't want to make any mechanics or exceptions specifically for solo players. In any case, loss of consciousness as an event is a random phenomenon. I'll just cut in here and say, if some of you guys are worried about the word random, your PMC isn't just going to randomly become diabetic and you're going to pass out. What he means by that is there's a lot of chances that you're going to be taking where you could pass out, where you could go unconscious, and having somebody there with you would be helpful. Going back to the quote, he says, when playing alone, it is worth remembering the possible consequences. If you aren't sure if you want to engage enemies, then don't take risks, don't play with fate, and be doubly careful. The help of teammates is also not a cure for all problems. After all, partners are not always able to quickly provide assistance in an active situation, and besides, anyone who tries to pick up an unconscious PMC also becomes a target. This may also play its role. That can mean a lot of different things there at the end, but you will be able to carry and drag unconscious players at some point in the future. I know I say this too often, but I am trying to drill it into your guys' brains. When I say they mean to develop this game with no hand-holding, they really do mean it. If you plan on playing solo, then get ready for a kick to the stomach on a daily basis, even more than usual, or find some friends, whether it be on a Discord or through VoIP. It's going to make a difference. Someone asked about the injector case, why it was decreased in capacity, and Nikita just simply said that it needed to be balanced, remembering as realistic as playable with some of these things. Sure, you can fit more in there realistically, but it needed to be balanced. They also asked Nikita about grenade throws, where I guess this person asking the question didn't know that you could hotkey them. If you guys didn't know, you can hotkey grenades just like meds in your rigs, so if you want to swap them, make sure you key them up. There was a question about ambient sounds, and Nikita said he didn't like the ambience right now, so they have much more ambient sounds recorded, and they will add them in the future. Someone asked about endurance not leveling while overweight, and this was a pretty long conversation, but Nikita responded, endurance has been reworked, and there will be more balance changes. Ideally, we would like to slow down the leveling of skills as much as possible. This is a reference towards MMO projects, and again, this is realistic. And maybe we'll do exactly that on release. Someone then asked about the flea market, and Nikita had a long answer again here, but the TLDR is that it's in a weird place right now because it's not what they intended it to be for the final game. He refers to it as endless loot, which it really is at a certain point. He said it's extremely complex to balance and that it's not necessarily the right time to work on that at the moment due to things to come that will affect it more. When talking about lighting, Nikita agreed later that it does need to be reworked, and again, not the priority right now though. Same story goes for the weather too. Nikita said weather conditions are not implemented as well as they would like, so more to come there. When asked about the path players will take to complete the campaign, Nikita said, I like more measured gameplay and slower leveling of the character. To this, we will add the story quests and the actual process of escaping from Tarkov. I like it when a player does not play according to guides and ready-made patterns, but studies and explores the game themselves based on their own mistakes and experiences. The player approach to the game is very cool. Explore and develop yourself. It's atmospheric. So this goes back to why we aren't seeing the story quests until the actual release. They want us to all experience it for the first time ourselves at the same time. Later, someone asked about the Omnicron container. Nikita said that the Omnicron is not ready yet, and then he said the main theme is the storyline of the game. Things like the Kappa and other containers are not necessarily part of the main game. They're just extra things that you can get rewarded with. He goes into detail on that. He talks about the Kappa for a little while, as well as the random quests like kill 100 times and stuff like that. We need to remember that none of this actually matters for the base game. This is all just kind of side stuff that we can do if we want to, where some of them have interesting rewards for the hard work that you put into them. The Omnicron is one of those things. Someone proposed a change to the sniper leveling quests. Nikita basically said all quests will be rebalanced along with almost everything else in the game. There's too many new features coming that affect these things, and you can't rebalance everything all over again each patch. It'll waste too much time, so soon TM on that one. Clips for the Mosin as well as zeroing for rear sights are planned. When discussing the hideout gym, Nikita said you will have the ability to perform special exercises and that there will be a fatigue parameter, so it sounds like this may be a first-person task where you literally need to go in there and lift weights, as opposed to the idle or AFK thing that we're used to with the hideout, or maybe this fatigue thing is a time-based thing. We'll have to see for ourselves, apparently. Either way, yeah, the gym is coming. Then last but not least, when discussing post effects, Nikita said more presets are on the way and that they will refine the settings a bit for convenience. There were a lot of long answers here, so we'll revisit some of this soon around the most important stuff. I linked the full post in the description if you want to check those out for yourself. Otherwise, that'll do it for today, guys, but as always, I will keep an eye out for anything new and let you guys know more once I do. Quick plug here for the Pray for Wipe and Sons of Soon shirts and hoodies. Link below if you like what you see. Thank you guys for the support. But for more Tarkov news and content, follow me on Twitter or check out these playlists here. If you like this video, then you know the drill. Please subscribe. I really appreciate the people who do. If you're looking for people to play with, check out our Discord. Links below if you're interested. Otherwise, I hope you have a nice day. See you guys.